A very good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for an interesting session on parenting with purpose, understanding our children. Being a parent comes with a lot of responsibility and difficult decision making. You always have your child's best interest at heart, but sometimes your child may disagree with the rules you have set down. Today, let's learn something about our kids to understand them and also to understand ourselves from our trainer for today, Mr. Harpreet Singh Grover. Harpreet is an independent researcher in the field of parent and children at the Curious Parent. He spent 12 years in EdTech building CoCubes, which was acquired by Aon Hewitt in 2017. He is also the author of the No Bullshit book on entrepreneurship called Let's Build a Company, published by Penguin, and an angel investor with 50 odd startups, including Ola, Ola Electric, Cheers, Bombay Shaving Company, and 15 plus edtech startups. A warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And over to you.
Thank you, Venkatesh. Thank you so much. And hello to everyone. I can't see you, but hopefully you can see me. And I'm very happy to be here. Like Venkatesh said in my previous avatar, I was running a company, and I was running a company which dealt with graduates. The name of the company was CoCubes, and the name came from the first two letters of three words: connecting colleges and companies. CO cross CO cross CO was CO Cubes, and we worked with like 2-3 million graduates across the country. Yeah, and the business was doing well. Everything was fine. And one big reason for I want to tell you one big reason why I sold the company, right? The one big reason why I sold the company was that I realized that graduates don't change. That folks who are these 20-year-olds are like a arrow shot from a bow. वो एक डायरेक्शन में निकल गए हैं और वो उस डायरेक्शन में जाते जाते हैं till they hit, let's say, mid age. And so you can help them find jobs, bucket them, do other things with them, but it is very, very difficult to change them. And I started researching about this more. So after 20 years of graduating from IIT Bombay, etc., I ended up realizing that childhood matters. And I then left everything I was doing and I started spending my time on understanding childhood, and which is the reason I'm here. And before we start, there's a question that I have for you. Everybody who's there on the call, what is the biggest lie about children in the world? I'm assuming a lot of you are parents or would-be parents. So, हमने बहुत कुछ सुना होगा बच्चों के बारे में. But what is like the biggest lie? And I want to tell you the biggest lie that I heard about children was this. कि बच्चे कर लो, बच्चे अपने आप बड़े हो जाते हैं. कर लो अपने आप बड़े हो जाएंगे, टेंशन मत लो, अपने आप तुम भी तो बड़े हो गए, हमने क्या किया, अपने आप बड़े हो जाते. Right? And I think this is actually the biggest lie around children in the world. That if parents are busy, let's say both parents are working, they imagine they will do a child, they can continue their life. And they can, go to play tennis or squash or whatever they're playing. They can have parties with friends. They can go about their work, and बच्चे अपने आप बड़े हो जाएंगे. Absolutely, like Kamlesh says, grandparents say the same dialogue. ये dialogue बोलते हैं, लेकिन ये सत्य नहीं है. And I think this is the biggest lie that we are told. Fortunately or unfortunately. But आप सब कॉल पे हैं, so I'm assuming all of your kids, सब बच्चे हो गए हैं, तो उनका क्या करें? So, over the next 30-40 minutes, we're going to talk about a few things. But before we talk about the things we want to talk about, the things we really matter, I want to take off all the things which you think matter, daily life wali. ये सबसे important चीजें हैं, लेकिन ये basic चीजें हैं. इतना basic that everybody should be following them one way or the other. We can talk about them after 30 minutes again. But initially, I just want to point out some of them to you so that, they get cleared from your head. One is mobile दिखाओ खाना खिलाओ. Mobile screens have pervaded our lives. Actually, मुझे लगता है that 20 years before this, maybe nothing around parenting was required. होता है कि बच्चे आसपास खेलते डोलते अपने आप बड़े हो जाते हैं. लेकिन अगर आज की तारीख में बच्चा इधर उधर रोल पोल कर रहा है, then what will happen is they'll end up with a screen. And if a child ends up with a screen, all research proves it leads to mental deterioration. We have spoken to so many parents, their kid is 4 years, 5 years, they say my child is not speaking, my child feels anxious, my child is not bonding with other children. And if you go in slightly deeper, it goes into 2, 3, 4 hours, the child is looking at a mobile or a screen in the house. So, this is one basic thing that nobody should be doing. It should be out of the window totally. The second one, and this is an interesting infographic. It is an interesting infographic for parents who have male kids, but parents who have girls also. Parents like me, my daughter is 7.5 years old. And if you see the clock, हमारे दादी के जमाने में पीरियड 16 साल में आते थे, हमारे मम्मी के जमाने में, हमारे जमाने में 13, 14, 15 साल की उम्र में पीरियड्स आते थे. But I've now seen and met so many kids where periods of girls are coming at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11. Right? Why is this happening? Multiple reasons. We'll go into them. We can talk about them. We'll share with you a PDF which talks about a lot of these things. But the basic thing is a lot of preservatives in our food, a lot of pollutants in our food, a lot of adulterated milk is leading to periods coming earlier. I know of a child personally who ate, for some reason, 3 packets of kurkure a day for 6 months. And her first spotting came at the age of 6 years. Right? They went to a doctor, etc., etc. That is a separate story. But I want to tell you that packet of kurkure is not harmless. Not because of junk food, etc., etc., but because of what it leads to our child. It means for our child. The third part I want to talk about is the guy you see with the chashma, and it pertains to lack of outdoor time. And I say lack of outdoor time because in countries like Hong Kong, in countries like Southeast Asia, where the houses are more smaller, what has happened is 90% of young adults have glasses. Think about this. 10 में से 9 लोग 18 साल से कम उम्र के, they have glasses. Why is this happening? This is not happening only because of mobile screen. This is also happening because the world for our children has become closer. हम कोठियों से अपार्टमेंट में आ गए हैं, हमारे पढ़ाई पहले शुरू हो रही है, so books are closer to our faces, screens आ गई हैं, हमारी दीवारें हमारे पास में, हम बाहर कम जा रहे हैं. So what happens is that the eyeball doesn't lengthen to the, I'm saying forget the science, but essentially when the world comes closer to us, the eye thinks the eye is developed and the eye stops growing. And what happens because of that is we get chashma, all of us get myopia. Already happening in Hong Kong, few other countries, will also happen in India if we don't take our child outdoors. These are 3 big pieces I wanted to get out of the window. And to get this out of the window, there are these 6 questions you can ask yourself. And if the answer to the 6 questions is okay, then I'm saying all the rest that we'll talk about will matter. Otherwise, these are the first questions to solve. What is my child's screen time? आधा घंटा हो, आधे घंटे से कम हो या 0 हो, best. Do I use my mobile TV to feed the child? A clear no. This leads to long-term mental deterioration, association of food with mobile, which has many effects. What is my child's outdoor time? Has to be more than 2 hours. How much time do I get with my child? As we get more and more busy, we get less and less time with our children. So how much time do I get with my child is an important question to ask. A child's brain needs a safe environment to grow. So in our house, is there a lot of shouting? Do I hit my child? All research has proven hitting a child does not change the, it might change the behavior in front of you, but that does not change the child, right? It just produces fear. And the last is your child getting enough sleep? These are 6 questions that you should ask yourself. And I don't want to spend more time on them. A lot of material out there that you can read, but these are absolute basics that I hope can be solved in each of our houses. Yeah. So what do we want to spend time on? Look at this slide. Look at the questions written on this slide. Yeah. Take a look at them. On the screen, you see some questions that a lot of parents ask and a lot of parents have. And it is possible you also have them. ये होंगे, किसी और form में कोई और question होंगे. Maybe your question is here, maybe your question is not. but most parents have some questions about their child. The interesting part that I found after doing all research and after spending time on this is that most of these questions are symptoms, and if we try to answer them one by one, it is like eating an antibiotic. It's like बुखार हुआ है, हमने क्रोसिन ले ली, तो बुखार कम हो गया, लेकिन the base reason हमें बुखार क्यों हुआ था, that we haven't understood. So answering these questions will help, but not so much, because another question will crop up. So to have the real answer to all answers that you see, all questions you see here, what is required is that we understand the child fundamentally. Then suddenly, and I promise you, suddenly all questions can be solved and all answers are met. So here's my request to you, right? And I'm saying, if you are listening, type a yes in the chat box. Here's my request to you, that for the next 15, 20, 30 minutes, forget all these questions. Forget that you have this question, मैं ये पूछने आया था, मेरे को बच्चे के बारे में ये समझना है. Forget all of that. Don't keep them in your mind. You are a parent. You have a child. Let us spend the next 30 minutes together only in understanding the child. Let's do that. Can we do that? I see a lot of yeses popping in. Thank you so much. And I'm going to repeat again. We're going to forget all these questions. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes only trying to take a step back and trying to understand our child. Yeah. So let's start. And, because I am assuming a lot of you are working people, engineers, artists, BCom, all educated. So हम पढ़ लिख जाते हैं तो हमें science ज़्यादा समझ में आती है. So I want to start with science. And the first thing to understand is that all of us are born unfinished. What does that mean? And by the way, the book I show here is a great book to read to just get a basic understanding of the brain, which will help you, which will help, every aspect of what you do. But the key thing to understand is that all of us are born unfinished. This means that our brain is live wired. So some things are hardwired in humans, like animals. For example, breathing, how to breathe is hardwired. Crying is hardwired. Suckling so that the child can drink milk from the mother is hardwired. Identifying faces is hardwired. So I can identify ye meri maa hai, ye mere dad hai, these are people who love me, is hardwired. To learn language is hardwired. These are some of the few things that are hardwired in our children. Uske saath paida hote hain. But most other things are live wired. For example, think about this. When a dolphin is born, a dolphin knows how to swim. A cat is born, cat knows moo, moo. I'm saying they know all the language that they have. They don't learn any new language. They're done. Their brain is hardwired. But human child needs to be taken care for so long because our brains are because our brains are live wired. And this is important. And this is why human race has done so well. That is why we can live in Himalayas. That is why we can live in oceans. That is why we can live in deserts. Everywhere, because we adapt to the environment that we are born in. The key point here is that the environment that our brain gets, it matters. Okay, just keep that in mind, that the environment that our brain gets matters when it is born. So let us look at this graph, and this graph talks about how the brain grows versus how the body grows. And we assume, and I assume for the longest time, बच्चा भी बड़ा हो रहा है, बच्चे का दिमाग भी बड़ा हो रहा है, तो 20 साल तक बड़ा होता रहेगा, as height grows, everything else grows, brain भी बड़ा होता रहेगा. But 90% of brain development happens in the first 5 years. So think of your child, and given we are hearing so much about AI, you think of your child's brain as an AI machine, which is being trained by the environment. And वो live brain पैदा हुआ था, environment उस पे है, and it is training, it is forming patterns. And as the child is forming patterns, these patterns are getting stored for later use in life. And this is important. For example, let's say after work, you will drive home. Think about the last 30 days you have driven home or given in a cab or, gone in a cab home. I can promise you don't remember that 1 hour. You don't remember most of the things that happened in 1 hour. You can drive a car, put on a song, because what the brain does, even for adults, is stores the pattern of from your work to your house. And when you're driving, it reverts to that pattern. That is why you can make a call to your mom when you're driving. That is why you can listen to songs. All you can do while driving, because your brain is actually not getting utilized at all. Your brain is choosing to use this pattern. These patterns get formed during childhood. The initial patterns which your child's brain will use as AI get formed during childhood. You know, a friend of mine runs away from difficult situations. किसी से लड़ाई हो जाए ना तो बात करना छोड़ देता है. Stops talking to them. Now, why is this? The person doesn't understand, but I sat with him, we were chatting, and I was talking about his house. You know what happens in his house? His father has 3, 4 brothers. His mother has 4, 5 siblings on their side. Their family talks to nobody. Because कुछ भी छोटी सी बात होती है, लड़ाई हो जाती है. So they stop talking. So the child which observed how situations were handled became an adult who doesn't want it, but actually very subconsciously runs away from difficult situations. This is how our brain is wired in the first 5, 6 years as we grow, seeing our environment. You know, this is why childhood is important. So we have looked at that a child is live wired, our brain is live wired. Because it is live wired, the environment matters. But how does the brain actually develop? You know, as you see this diagram, this is a very simplistic view of the brain. But I still don't want you to spend too much time at those words, you know, abstract thought, you know, arousal, attachment. These are complication. What are the basic things that we want to understand? And there's a very beautiful thing that I learned, which is that our mind, and you know, we always want to make our children smarter. कि कुछ करें कि बच्चा smart बन जाए. But our brain is not wired to make us smart. That is not why we are born. Our brain is programmed to help us be safe. All research has proven that. And if you look at brainstem, which is the first part of the brain which develops, and the second one also, which is the midbrain, these are the parts which control our temperature, heart rate, you know, blood pressure, sleep. All of this is very common to what lizards have, what reptiles have. And it is only when these parts develop correctly can a child think about how to be loving, or how to show empathy, or how to develop confidence, or how to solve puzzles, or maths or English. So the first thing that our brain wants is safety. अगर उसको safe feel होगा, then it will start doing other things. This is very important, yeah, that when it starts feeling safe is when EQ and IQ can develop. Let me take an example of a research rat. You know, so there were 2 rats which were put in 2 different buckets. उनको 2 bucket में रख दिया, 2 जालों में. In one bucket, the rat was given a shock. And as soon as the rat was given a shock, it was given some food. In the second, what do you call, pinjara, the rat was given shock at random times. You know, सो रहा है तो shock दे दिया. वो इधर उधर घूम रहा है, shock दे दिया. Food also at random times. The rats were kept this way and they were analyzed after 1 month. So there was some mild degeneration in the brain of the first rat. Why? Because the brain formed a predictable pattern. कि shock मिलेगा और खाना मिलेगा. This is predictable. I can understand this. So little bit mild degeneration of the brain. The second rat, his brain was absolutely conked. Right? The brain did not develop at all. Why? Because the rat is just feeling unsafe. So think about yourself. You know, if you, let's have a fight at home or a fight with your boss, या दोस्त से लड़ाई हो गई, can we concentrate at work? You know, we can't. अगर दिमाग में anxiousness चल रही है, we can't concentrate at work. And this actually is multiplied many-fold for the child. Yeah. So this is what the current neuroscience says about the brain of the child. You know, this is the science behind the brain. And these 2-3 things are important. Live brain, that we are live wired. Our environment is important. And our mind is, the primary purpose of the mind is to keep us safe. After that, we can develop EQ and IQ. Yeah. So as we have looked at all the scientific evidence, let's take a look back and go to a place when MRIs were not there. You know, all of this that has been gathered is recent evidence using MRIs. So थोड़ा पहले चलते हैं 1973 I think, या उससे पहले maybe. which 1977 was the first MRI was born. So we are going before that to a story of a lady called Jean Ridloff. Okay. This lady was an American, and you can see her picture on the left. And she went to Europe, ghumne ke liye. There she found 2-3 people who were going to mine diamonds in the forest. So she said, this looks like an interesting project. Let me go to mine diamonds. So she goes to mine diamonds. When she goes to mine diamonds, she meets these ancient tribes. Okay. The pictures of the tribes you see there and the babies you see there. She meets these tribes and she realizes कि यार यहाँ पे तो सब खुश है. The adults are always happy. The children are very confident. The children don't fight. They are never scolded. And in general, जो बड़े बोल रहे हैं उनकी बात सुन रहे हैं. Half of us are saying यार मेरा बच्चा मेरी बात ही नहीं सुन रहा है. What do I do? But here, children are listening to the adults. They are careful. They are happy. And she realized that, they are happy as adults. But they are happy as adults because they have been happy as children. So what she did was, apart from finding diamonds, she made multiple trips and spent 2.5 years with these tribes. And what she found was that when she noticed young children, she noticed that when the child was born, there was always body-to-body touch with the mother. And when the child was born, the mother was in the lap of the mother. If the child grew a little bit, the mother was making some food, the child would put the mother in the lap. The mother had to go get water. The mother will take the child with them. You can see in the pictures, there's body-to-body touch. The child is hanging. If there is a function in the village, माँ ये नहीं सोच रही अरे मेरे बच्चे का sleep routine है, I have to keep this order. The mother is saying, I'll take my child and I will dance. So mother is having all the fun that society offers while keeping the child with her, right? And if you see, so let me take an example. Let the mother has to go to fetch water. So the child is hanging, the mother is walking through the jungle, birds are chirping, a little bit rain is falling, child is experiencing rain. The child can't react much, but they can experience, they can sense, they can absorb. The child hears the sound of the waterfall. All of this is an active life of the child. So two things are happening. One, there is abundance of love from the mother or the parent, which leads to a secure child. And the second is the child has active experiences because whatever the mom is doing, the child is also doing. The child can't contribute because the child is small, but the child is doing. In the last 200-300 years, this has vanished because we go to work और हमारा काम कंप्यूटर पे हो गया है. अब बच्चे को कंप्यूटर तो कैसे सिखाएंगे? So there is this segregation of work and life which has happened, which wasn't earlier. But earlier, a child could have both abundance of love and it could have active experiences. And this is very important. I want to keep this in mind, okay? And this is how, for millions of years, the child has been brought up. Why is this important? Because this is what evolution is. And when a new child is born, उसको नहीं पता कि मैं हॉस्पिटल में पैदा हो रहा हूँ. In a modern world full of computers and screens and junk food and lack of outdoor time, the child doesn't know that. The child expectation is still what it has gotten for the last 2 million years. That is the expectation of the child, right? And what is happening now is change. That when our child is going to be born, we want to go buy a cot. We want to decorate the room. We want to put pastel colors. Child cannot see. वो जो newborn child उसको 6-8 इंच तक ही दिखता है, उसके बाहर का दिखता नहीं है ज़्यादा. But we want to make a nice room for the child. Nice soft cloth, pillows. We get ready. When the child is born, the child is not given to the mother because the mother is resting after the cesarean. The child is kept in a separate cot. It is given to the mother for some time, milk pilaya, then it again is taken back. This is not the expectation of the child. We bring the child home, we put them in a cot. हम ऊपर वो लटका देते हैं, थोड़े cute ducks, which look cute to us, but they are like dead animals hanging above a child, which have no meaning, right? This is, and we want everyone in the house to remain quiet. I remember doing this. I remember telling my parent कि अरे यार चुप हो जाओ, मेरी बेटी उठ जाएगी, बड़ी मुश्किल से सुलाई है मैंने. But the child is waking up because they are not next to our skin. It is not waking up. It is feeling alone, not because someone is making noise. And the child cries because the child is not getting what evolution wants the child to get, right? And this is an important thing here. I want to take a step back and I want you to process this. कि जो 2 million साल से हो रहा है ना, 20 लाख साल से जो हो रहा है, because last 100-200 years have changed, does not mean the expectation of a newborn will change. They are born with the same expectation. For example, अगर कोई रो रहा है उसको हग करो तो उसको बेटर लगता है. Similarly, we are soothed by our nervous system which has developed over 2 million years. When a child is crying, a hug is all that matters. When a child is next to your body, that is more than enough for the child. Nothing else matters. Yeah. So science has proven, and Jean Lidloff's visiting these tribes who are not modern has proven that the child is expecting these two things: body to body touch and active experiences. And both of them have lessened. Active experiences because we are living in small apartments, because we are more indoors because of COVID, because of being busy. These active experiences of from a child's life have gone missing. तो हम बच्चे को बाहर लेके आते हैं, हमसे चिपक जाता है वो, एंड हम बोलते हैं बेटा मेरे से मत चिपको, थोड़ा जाओ खेलो खेलो. But this is because active experiences have been lacking, and love and time with us are lacking. And the reason this is important is that both of these are the fundamental things required for development of confidence. And if you ask me, if there's one thing you want your child to be when they are grown up, what would it be? It is कि यार मेरा बच्चा confident हो, कोई भी मुश्किल आए उसका सामना कर पाए. Right? How does this form? This forms from initial love from the parent, and it forms from active experiences that the child gets. So we've spoken about two things right now. We've spoken about what neuroscience says, understanding the brain of the child, and we have spoken about what evolution wants us to give the child. Right? Now I want to take a real story of what happens when love goes missing. Okay. This is a slightly distressing story. So if somebody of you get triggered, you can stop listening, drop off. But this is an important story. And this is an extreme story. And I like extreme examples because extreme examples help us learn what can happen to when we do a little bit of it. जब बच्चे को हम 2 घंटा स्क्रीन दिखा देते हैं तो इतना प्रॉब्लम लगता नहीं है. अगर आप 10 घंटे देखो तो क्या होगा वो समझना जरूरी है. Similarly, when we are missing from our child's life for a large part, what can happen? Let's understand with this example. This example is of a 16-year-old in US. The 16-year-old is going in a lift, and he sees two girls, 14-year-old and 12-year-old, and उस पे थोड़ी line मारता है. Okay, these girls don't respond, so this guy follows them to their room. It's in the hotel. He follows them. He kills them. Okay. Then he rapes them. Then he goes home and is sitting on the couch watching news. His brother comes in and he notices that news channel pe it is coming that 2 women have been killed. And he notices that his brother's shoes have blood. So he calls the police and he tells them about this and they take him away. So now the trial is going on, and because it's a 15-year-old, they want to save the guy. कि यार बच्चा है इतना बड़ा नहीं है क्या करें. So they call a psychologist, Dr. Bruce, who tells the story in a wonderful book called The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog. This is actually a good book if some of you want to read. And Dr. Bruce goes to meet him, and Dr. Bruce talks to him and he says, "Yaar, if you and look, the 15-year-old knows Dr. Bruce is the last hope. Varna mujhe tang denge. I'll be dead. Right? I'll be in jail for life." So Dr. Bruce asks him, if you could go back and change one thing in your life, what would you change? And you know what the guy says? The guy says, "I will change my shoes." This is the lack of empathy that the guy has, that the boy has. And Dr. Bruce wants to find out how did this happen, that this boy who's going to go hang for life, even at that point cannot think कि यार मैं कुछ बोल दूं अलग. And he goes meet his parents, he finds out. And the other part is इसका जो भाई है, who actually reported him to the police, is a great guy. He's a very warm, gentle guy, has kids, has a wife, is a good human being. So what happened with this kid? And they go meet his parents and they realize that the mother is a little slow, doesn't understand things much. And they realize that parents, when the first child was born, used to live in a city where grandparents and everybody else was there. So the mother did not know how to take care of the child. So everybody helped. बहुत सारा प्यार था, बच्चे को बड़ा करने में बहुत help हो गई because the mother was a little dim. Then the father lost his job. When the father lost his job, they had to shift cities. When they shifted cities, the mother couldn't cope up. And to cope up, she started a routine. And the routine was morning, the father guy factory, she started walking around the city with her 4 or 5 year old child. But after a few months, she got pregnant. She still did her walks. But then the child was born. When the child was born, she did not know what to do. Her support wasn't there. The father went to the factory and वो घर उसको खाने को दौड़ रहा था. So she continued her walks. What she did was she left the child in a pram. थोड़ा दूध पिला दिया, थोड़ा सामान रख दिया, खाना रख दिया, and she went out. So this child cried and there was nobody to answer the cry of the child. Okay. 9 बजे चली आती थी, 6 बजे आ जाती थी. When the child was like this for a month or two, the child stopped crying. The mother thought it has worked. What I was doing has worked. But why did the child stop crying? Is because of this. Because this is what was developing inside the child. And what neuroscience proves is, this is important, yeah? So listen to this, that when you go to a child, when a child is crying, the child looks at you. And what happens in the brain is two things. One, the child feels pleasure. Second, the child sees you. So two different parts of the brain are stimulated. When these two different parts of the brain are stimulated, the child associates humans with pleasure. कि हाँ, लोगों से मिलना मुझे अच्छा लगता है. This is what the child understands. This is how love is born. This is how empathy is born. This is why they say कि empathy बोल बोल के नहीं सिखाई जा सकती, खाली बच्चे को दिखाई जा सकती. You can be loving to a child, and only when you are loving to a child can a child love somebody else. You can't tell the child, you have to love somebody. It doesn't work like this. Yeah. So we have looked at how the brain develops. We have looked at what evolution means, and we have now looked at what happens when this goes missing. So we have looked at past 2 million years. We have looked at the present neuroscience. We have looked at what happens when it goes missing, which brings us to an important question, right? That as the AI takes over, and there's a question for you to reflect, and please, if you have answers, please write in the comment box, that as AI takes over jobs, what can we give to our young children which will help them navigate this world? Like, what do you want to give your children to navigate this world? Right? कि बड़ा हो तो ये हो उसके पास. What do we want our children to be? This is an important question, because assuming this is one reason why we are doing parenting, right? The interesting part is that, and I see some answers, experience, our time, love and care, ability to control his emotions, which is beautiful. What will you do with a genius if the genius can't control his own emotions? वो हर बात पे गुस्सा हो जाता है, तो वो genius का है. Handling stress, which is interesting. Somebody has written handling stress. But what an interesting question is, how does a child learn to handle stress? Somebody writes, use AI as computer calculator, empathy and human love and quality time, right? And Mona says, spend time with kids, play and talk to them every day, be there for the kid. But I'm saying, think about, what do you want the child to be? What do you want the child to have when they are adults, when AI is eating all the jobs, right? And I want to share what I feel, what my child should have, right? I believe my child should have two things. One is confidence, and the other is curiosity. Right? Curiosity children already have when they are born. We have to stop ourselves from reducing it. जब बच्चा ग्लास को हाथ लगाता है तो बोलता है रुको रुको टूट जाएगा, मत हाथ लगाओ. बच्चा एक फ्लावर को उठाता है and wants to put the flower in his mouth. You say, अरे अरे, don't put flower in the mouth. Right? मिट्टी चली आएगी. Children have curiosity, we kill it. Can we allow our children to have curiosity? Right? Can we allow them to retain their curiosity? A child goes to a normal school, he's in second class, he loves maths, and he says, मुझे maths और करना है. But teacher बोलती है, और maths मत करो बेटा, अभी अगली class में करना है. Because second class में इतना ही maths सिखाते. Our entire world is around curbing curiosity. but we have to keep it alive, because curiosity is the first step to say, "Care, what can I do in this situation? Right? How can I deal with this situation? What does this mean?" If that goes away, then next steps stop mattering. And this is the first thing. The second thing is confidence. A lot of you, handling failure, handling success, all of this comes from confidence. Like Ashita says, creativity and freedom. Freedom leads to confidence. And confidence actually comes from feeling secure plus active experiences. The two things that Jean found that the tribal parents were giving their children, which is one, enough love when the child is little. I can also tell you a real story about a 70-year-old lady who used to take care of all abandoned children. And the psychologist met her, and he used to tell her that even a 10-year-old kid who has been left by parents at the age of 10 years, if you want the child to develop, the first thing that child likes is to rock him, a 10-year-old being rocked. Why? Because he did not get it when the child was young, did not get enough love. So for the brain to develop and do IQ and EQ, वो पहले वो कोटा पूरा होना पड़ेगा प्यार का, तो वो बच्चा आगे जाएगा. So this confidence comes from feeling secure, and it comes from having active experiences. That is when your child will leave you. We think, अरे यार बच्चा जाए कुछ करे, खुद से मेरे साथ क्यों चिपक रहा है? When the child is confident in your love, when the child knows you're going to be there, is when the child can leave you, when the child can go to school easily, when the child can go play with their friends. When the child is going, pursuing a butterfly or eating flowers, if you don't interrupt, the child gains confidence. If you interrupt, the child loses some confidence and loses some curiosity. So what we need is to give the child, the feeling of security through love and active experiences. This is what we need. And almost nothing else. We don't need to earn money. We don't need to buy toys. We don't need to take them to Disneyland. कुछ और करने की जरूरत नहीं है. The confidence comes from feeling secure and active experiences. Active experiences come from outdoors. A lot of active experiences come from outdoors, not from plastic toys, from outdoors. Yeah. So this is what you can do as a parent to develop a confident and loving adult. You can give them love and you can give them active experiences, right? This, I think, is the critical part for all of us to understand. That what can we do for our children? And, and we will listen to all the questions you have, very happy to answer them. But I want to end with this one question, which is that what is the one thing we want with our child as they grow up? A lot of you might be 30 years, 28 years, 32 years, 35 years. I am 40. My child is 7.5. As my child grows, becomes older, she will go to school, then she will go to college in another city. Then she'll get a job maybe in another country, I don't know. Then she have her own children, hopefully. She'll have her own husband if she gets married, right? But she'll have her own life. So what is the one thing that you want with your child as they grow up? Yeah. Somebody's saying good human beings, be a good individual. But forget about the child. What do you want from the child? What do you want? Why are you doing all this? Why are you here on a afternoon listening to this, when you could be Friday out drinking beer maybe? Why are you here? What do you want from your child when they grow up? Somebody wants the child to be better than me. Somebody wants respect and care. Somebody wants affection and love. Somebody wants the child to be positive minded. Vivek wants love, bright future. What do you want from your child? Right? Why are we doing all this? To me, is that I want a sense of connection with my child. कि मुझे लगे कि मेरे बच्चे को मैं समझ में आता हूँ. They understand me and that I understand my child. Right? Because when the sense of connection is there, then it doesn't matter हम कितने टाइम नहीं मिले, कितने साल नहीं मिले. You meet old friends जिनके आपने बहुत टाइम बिताया है, 1 मिनट में we are वापस together like old times. Why? Because there is this sense of connection, the sense that यार ये मेरे को समझता है, मैं कुछ भी बोल सकता हूँ ना इसको. And the sense of connection can come if we understand ourselves and if we understand our children, if we can give them love, and if we can let them be. Because parenting today is mostly about interference in our child's life. ये मत करो, वो मत करो, ये क्यों हो रहा है, वो क्यों हो रहा है. We can interfere less. If we can observe our child, then we can build a sense of connection with our child, which is at least what I want, and which is what I hope a lot of you also want. Yeah. So, this is what it is. Yeah, this is what I had in mind. I thought I'll share with you. We spent about 40 minutes to get here. This is my hope that all of you have a sense of connection with your child. That you don't, and it is easy to develop. हमें ज़्यादा करना नहीं होता है. We don't need to spend our entire day with our children. We just need to observe more. We need to interfere less. We need to be present. We need to play a little bit. We don't need money for this. We don't need to send them to Harvard for this. For all of this, none of these things matter. And everybody can do this, irrespective of whether we are doing a job, we are at home, whatever our situation might be. This is possible for each one of us, that we can have a sense of connection with our child. This is what I had in mind. I'm open to, what I also want to tell you was, I asked you to pause for 30 minutes. Thank you for pausing. So that we could understand this. There are a lot of questions that you wrote on a Google Excel sheet. We will answer all of those. If we'll send you an answer, we have your email IDs also. We'll also send you a PDF document which has a list of questions and answers to it, and video answers to it. Yeah. And you can take a look at that to answer questions that you get in daily life. स्कूल जाते हुए क्यों रो रहा है, खाना क्यों नहीं खा रहा है, बच्चे को मार क्यों रहा है, बुली हो रहा है दूसरों से, मेरे को छोड़ नहीं रहा है, I can't go to the washroom without him. All of these, just now Tejas has shared. Tejas works with me. Tejas and I are the team of Curious Parent. He has shared a link which has the PDF that you can use. We'll also send it to you. But what we can do is, now we can take a step back and we can, if you have any questions, we can answer. So Mayura has a question. As a working woman, how to make our child feel secure? Mayura, good question. Thank you so much for asking. I want to say this in two parts. Okay, Mayura. One is, I found the view कि busy parents को बच्चे करने नहीं चाहिए. If, like I said at the start, right? सबसे बड़ा झूठ जो हमसे बोला जाता है वो ये है कि बच्चे कर लो, अपने आप बड़े हो जाए. The truth is, बच्चे अपने आप बड़े नहीं होते. Right? So I've come to the conclusion that if you are busy parents, your husband and wife are working, and both of you want to continue on your trajectory of career, please continue, don't have children. I'm being very harsh here, right? But I'm just saying this is the truth. Because if you have a child, it is best to give the child some time and give yourself some time. It is possible one of you might take a little bit step back in career. Men can take, women can take. Nobody is saying men is for war, woman is motherhood nest. These are good statements. Men, I am a stay-at-home parent. My wife goes to work. So I enjoy doing this. So men can do it, women can do it, anybody can do it. The child, a grandparent can do it if they are willing. But a child needs at least one adult to feel secure in initial years. तो बच्चे करने हैं तो बच्चे मत करो, अगर बच्चे करने हैं तो दो कर लो. It is easier with two children because they have the company of each other. It might feel off, but actually I think it is easier to raise two children versus one. Just for telling everybody, I have one daughter. My wife is now 41. I don't think we'll have more children. But if I could go back, will I have one more child? I would have one more child. Yeah. दो बच्चे कर लो, फटाफट कर लो आपस में, okay, it is easier for you. But now you are a working woman, let's say you have one child. What you can do is you can have a routine where a child feels safe. That I will get my mother's time. इतना तो मुझे मिलेगा. It could be a routine in the morning where you are with the child, you involve the child in your work. ऐसा नहीं कि आप किचन में बिजी हो, बच्चा स्क्रीन के साथ बैठा है. Involve child in your daily work. Take the child outdoors for 15-20 minutes. Okay, but at the start of the day, find some time, and at the end of the day, find some time. If as a working woman, this is all the time you have, then what you can do is bring order to your child's life so that the child's brain feels secure and can develop, and the child knows my mother is there. Okay. We have more questions. What are your thoughts on Montessori schools for elementary, primary levels? My 3-year goes to one in toddler program, but I'm not sure about continuing with the same. This is a question that's close to my heart. My daughter goes to a Montessori school. I was reading yesterday a book called Boyhood by Rabindranath Tagore. If you look at it, Rabindranath Tagore actually is the oldest person, is the proponent of the schooling system. He says, school पेड़ के नीचे होना चाहिए, classes चलनी चाहिए, बच्चे का मन हो तो क्लास आए, मन ना हो तो खेलता रहे. This is the way Rabindranath Tagore said the right, loving, confident adult can be raised. Not by putting adults in, in stools and chairs behind one another and saying, "Ab teacher se suno, teacher kya bol raha hai." Then we only raise conditioned adults who are, कि ये मुझे बताएगा, मैं इनसे सीखूंगा. Okay. On Montessori particularly, a few things I like. They're mixed age groups. So a 3-year-old can learn from a 6-year-old. A 6-year-old can learn empathy by teaching a 3-year-old. So for people like us where we don't have a younger kid at home, I have only one child. My child gets to interact with younger children there. Okay. And if you look at it at your workplace, take a step back. All of you on the call, take a step back. Think about this. आप अपनी ऑफिस में काम करते हो, क्या सबकी एज सेम है? Is everybody's age same? What is the age of your CEO? What is the age of people reporting to you? What is the age of people working on a project with you? They're all of different ages. We work with people across different ages. This is how we should learn. A 3-year-old can learn much less from another 3-year-old, but a 3-year-old can learn a lot from a 6-year-old. Right? This is why I particularly love Montessori. One, because of this, and second, it allows the child to follow themselves. अगर मैथ सीखना है तो 1 साल child मैथ सीख सकता है, इंग्लिश अगले साल सीख लेगा, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. Yeah, but remember, all Montessori schools, a lot, because Montessori has become fancy, a lot of schools call themselves Montessori. They are not Montessori. So read a few books. You can read हमारे Montessori कौन सी किताब है यार? You can read The Absorbent Child, The Secret of Childhood. These are nice books to read to get an understanding of Montessori before you put your child in a Montessori. If you put your child in a Montessori, I intend to continue it till 12 years of age. You can at least continue it till 6. Yeah. I hope this answers the question. Tejas, can you share the link to the Q&A document again, because it has reels around Montessori and education. Let's see more questions. Venkatesh, if there's any question that you want to point out, please feel free. It's a good habit to offer everything a child asks for, and we have to say no when we have to say no. When we say yes, then we have to say yes. Is it a good offer to? Is it a good thing to offer everything a child asks? The clear answer to that is no. The job of a parent is to say no, but to say no to the right things. Yeah, that is important. 99% of the child, we have to let the child be. Let the child be free to pursue what they want to pursue. The 1% time, think of this as 1% parenting. Maybe you can put that term to your head. I will do 1% parenting. Those 1% time we have to say no. When do we have to say no? Too much mobile, too much screen, we have to say no. Junk food, we have to say no. घर पे ही रहना है, बाहर नहीं जाना, we have to say no. Why? Because our child's brain is still developing. They can't understand. But advertisers around and advertisements and companies want to make money off our child. They want to show what the child's brain will keep seeing. So we have to come in, we have to say no. मोबाइल दिखाने के लिए, खाना गलत खाने के लिए, शुगर खाने के लिए, we have to say no. When a child is too much in the house, the child, and हम अपार्टमेंट में रह रहे हैं, in older times ना, हम नीचे रहते थे, तो खेलने जाना है. I went to my maid's house. Okay, my maid lives just पीछे रहती है. मैं उनके घर अपने बच्चों को लेके गया. छोटा सा घर है, बच्चा बाहर निकलता है, 6 बच्चे और हैं, 3 बिल्लियां हैं, 2 कुत्ते हैं. बच्चों खेलने जाना है. It is like this. The child can go outside. In my house, the child has to take a lift. First, get out of the house. बड़ा सा घर है, फिर लिफ्ट लेनी पड़ती है, फिर कोई और बच्चे को ढूंढना पड़ता है कहीं जाके कि मिल जाए. नीचे जाओ तो गार्डन तक वॉक करके जाना पड़ेगा. There is so much hindrance to play that we can't say yes to the child being inside. We have to push the child to go outside. Is it okay to tell an adopted kid that he's adopted? How to handle this? Look, it depends on the age of the child. This is a personal decision. If it was on me, I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter at all. A lie can matter. I don't think it matters to the child who raises the child. असली माँ बाप raise कर रहे हैं या आप raise कर रहे हैं, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. What matters is, are you loving to the child? If you are loving, the child will stay with you. The child will look at you as mother and father. It doesn't matter whether they are adopted or not. Yeah, but this is, everybody has a different situation. If it was my adopted child, अब वो 1 साल के बच्चे को नहीं बताऊंगा मैं कि आप adopted हो. But I will tell them that I am raising you and I am your mother and father, but you have different biological fathers. When the child probably asks me how are kids born, is when I would have started telling the child this. But otherwise, till the child asks, there is no reason. How to handle 2 kids when both of them are fighting, whom to control, first the elder one or the younger one? दोनों को ही control करना पड़ेगा. The point is not to control them when they are fighting. The point is to understand why they're fighting. A lot of times we don't need to interfere at all. A lot of times elder one will fight with the younger one because the younger one has taken the love of the elder one, and the elder child feels insecure. तो छोटे बच्चे को मारता है, काटता है. So in this situation, Deva Kumar, you asked, I would see that you can separate the child. You can tell them no hands and feet, no hands and feet. You can hug both of them together. हमारे पास 2 बाजुएं तो हैं ही हैं 2 बच्चों को पकड़ने के लिए. So we can hug both of them together. We can tell them no hands and feet, but most times don't interrupt. Take a step back, see why they are fighting. Do you even need to interfere or not? It is possible the elder one is jealous. In that case, the elder one needs more love from you, not scolding कि तुम बच्चे को क्यों मार रहे हो. If elder one is hitting the younger one, the elder one needs more love and hugs. What are the thoughts on homeschooling? Homeschooling is possible. It is a lot of work. I don't want to do that much work, so it is difficult for me. I think it is hard. It is hard for a parent to be a teacher also. Very few parents can manage it. What happens is, if छोटा बच्चा चलना सीखता है, तो when the child learns to walk, we are like encouraging the child. वाह वाह, we are happy. अरे तुमने कदम चला. And the same child 4 or 5 years after that, when the child is not able to solve a math sum, we are like, अरे यार तुम क्या बेवकूफ हो, तुम्हें इतना सा नहीं आता. Same thing. But look at our reaction. It has changed. So if you can keep the same reaction, if you can follow a child's curiosity, homeschooling is great. You can invite other kids to participate. I don't do it because I find it too hard. My kid only wants to do all things only from me. What can I do as I still on work from home? So Kanya, I don't know how old your child is. So the answer depends on how old your child is. But just remember, the child is missing love. Okay. Only when the child has enough love can the child go forward. This doesn't mean your child will always need you. This is one. The second thing that is possible is वो घर में ही बंद है, so they don't have enough active experiences to do. वो मिट्टी से खेल नहीं पा रहा है, वो दूसरे किसी बच्चे को देख नहीं पा रहा है, and so it is not the child is not developing confidence because there are less things to explore. So to understand, there are 2 things again. One, the child comes to you rather than saying, "अरे यार तुम मेरे पास क्यों आ रहे हो बार-बार मुझे काम करना है." If you can give them a hug, you have guaranteed some more minutes before the child will pareshan you, because the child's quota of love has become full. If you can bring an order in the child's life, subah mama will be with you, is time pe mama will be with you. In between the child comes, give them a hug. Get more outdoor experiences. This is how you can solve it. But I'm saying, remember, the path is to enough hugs and enough love. My kid was born during COVID, doesn't mingle with other kids. What to do? Take him outdoors. Let him play around other kids. This period of active experiences has gone missing. You have to create it again. The sooner you do it, the better it is. Don't look at, and Didi, what is important, and this is for all the other parents also, don't think of this as a problem with the child. बच्चे में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. हमने जो एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट किया है बच्चे के लिए, उससे ये प्रॉब्लम आ गया है, राइट? बिकॉज द चाइल्ड hasn't seen, तो वो नई चीजों से डर रहा है. you spend enough time outdoors without making the child feel something is wrong with the child, because without telling them, jao beta khelo, just take them outdoors, take them where other kids are, let them mingle on their own, it will solve. This is an important question. My son, even if telling repeatedly, doesn't get away from the gadgets. How do I overcome this? Radha Pillai. If you are unable to get your child away from the gadget, you are failing as a parent. You're doing the most important job that you have to do, which is to say no to the 1% things. And stop lying to yourself that my child is not getting. You are not taking the child away because you are afraid वो निकल जाएगा तो मेरा time लेगा. Because you don't have time for your child is why you're not stopping them. The child can't stop. Child's brain is not developed. And advertisers have figured out what to show a child so that the child can see gadget whole day. And I have seen now so many 6-year-olds who have virtual autism, who have speech delay, who don't mingle with other kids only because unka screen time is 4, 5, 6 hours a day. And this will guaranteed happen if you continue. If you continue, this will happen, guaranteed. So rather, you have to do your job. You have to stay no. It is very easy to do it. Tejas, can you post the link to mobile dikhao khana khilao? Maybe parents can see it. If you just say no and stop it with love, there's no fault of the child. Don't get angry with the child. अरे क्यों तुम मोबाइल देखे जा रहे हो? मैं मना कर रही हूँ. Child का गलती नहीं है. Just take away. Make a rule in the house. Half an hour at 2 o'clock, you can see every day. Once you make a rule, in 1 week, I can promise you the child will follow the rule. If the child is sure, my mother is also following the rule. This is very easy to do. 7-year-old doesn't want to study anything, does everything else, playing indoor, outdoor. Govind, thank you for this question. And parents, please remember, I'm answering this question off the cuff based on my experience. Generally, to answer these, I would want a lot more information, but I'm trying to answer these. So take it with a pinch of salt. Govind, I want to tell you an example of a friend whose child was sent home from preschool because the child wouldn't sit in the school. And school ne bola, hum isko nahi padha sakte. We can't teach the child. Please take him. And the reason was, finally, and what the friend wanted to do was कि मैं इसको बैठ के पढ़ाऊंगा. मैं इसको बैठ के पढ़ाऊंगा तभी ये पढ़ना सीखेगा. And somebody, a relative, pointed out to them कि यार तुम जब भी घर के बाहर जाते हो ना अपने बच्चे का हाथ पकड़ के रखते हो. And the reason my friend was doing it because the friend and his wife were afraid कि बच्चा घूम ना जाए. इतनी भीड़ है, साइकिल स्कूटर सब चल रहे हैं, रोड पे हमारा घर है. मंदिर में गए, घूम ना जाए. They visited a lot of temples and they always held the hand of the child. तो जैसे ही बच्चे को स्कूल में छूट मिली या इन जनरल छूट मिली, बच्चा भाग रहा है. Because that is how we learn. Our brains are formed through movement. I'm taking a step back and I want to give you a very important example to understand this part, that our brains are formed through movement, that our body gives signal to the brains. That is how our brains are formed. People who do Botox, young dikhne ke liye, who to keep their skin young, who do Botox, which means they insert plastic inside their skin. When they are shown images of people, somebody who's happy, somebody who's sad, right? When they see those images, अब आप एक happy image देखते हो तो क्या होता है? You smile. When you see, let's say, a image of a cow being killed, buffalo being killed, what will you do? You will become sad. You will become, आपका face change हो जाएगा. You know what happened with these people? These people could not distinguish between happy and sad faces. You know why? Because they had done Botox. The face wasn't changing. And because the face wasn't changing, the signal wasn't being sent to the brain of what the body is feeling. And they couldn't observe who's happy, who's sad. So when you do Botox and we change our skin, this is not our skin, our brain also changes. So for a 7-year-old not studying anything, please check if the child is getting enough free time, right? That I think is the first thing to check. And second, see what is the interest of the child. 7-year-old is too young. घर में आधा घंटा 15 मिनट भी पढ़ लिए काफी पढ़ाई होगी, ज्यादा पढ़ाई की जरूरत नहीं है. But if उतना भी नहीं बैठ रहा है, then see if there is too much screen. See if you're controlling the child too much. Try seeing what is the interest of the child, right? And let them be a little bit more. If baby falls while running, if parents laugh at him, Kamlesh had asked this question. We have a view on this. Tejas, maybe you can share this where we have written about this, right? What to do when a baby falls. I think we don't need to react at all. When a baby falls, somebody laughs, somebody hits the floor saying कि अरे floor ने मारा तुमको. When we say floor ने मारा तुमको, we are teaching the child it is not the child's fault. We're teaching कि गलती दूसरे की है. The same child will grow up and in the workplace will say मेरी नहीं गलती, मैं अपना काम ठीक से कर रहा हूँ, मेरा मैनेजर बेवकूफ है. I am doing my job well. He doesn't understand because the child learns to blame externality. So good way of dealing when the child falls while running is just stay calm. Don't need to do anything. Smile. Because the child's brain is developing. Child falls, they look at you. अगर आप परेशान हो तो child रोता है, आप परेशान नहीं हो तो child भी उठ के निकल जाता है. My child is Ritesh Dhoot had asked, my child is speech delay, speech and occupational therapy advisable for that. Ritesh, I don't know how old your child is. Yeah, so I'm going to answer based on what I know. If your child is seeing more than 30 minutes of screen time, stop the screen time. Absolutely stop it. Okay. If your child is not seeing screen time at all, there's still speech delay. See if your child is getting enough practice. आप उससे enough बात कर रहे हो, उसके पास practice करने के लिए और बच्चे हैं क्या, और parents है क्या, Alexa है क्या बात करने के लिए. See if the child is getting enough practice. See if the child is making eye contact or not, because that is a signal of autism and other things. These are 2-3 things to watch out for. You can stop screen, you can do practice, and you can watch for 1 month. But I would either ways highly recommend talking to a good speech and occupational therapist. Tejas, can you give the link of Dr. Masumi and Ranjita? We can also include it in our document maybe also. But Ritesh, it is okay to go to an occupational therapist. We'll give you links of couple of speech and occupational therapists you can talk to. I hope that helps. My kid is 7, very smart, good in education. He's very mischievous. School teacher complaining, he's good in class, very mischievous. I tried explaining calmly, tried little force. Things are good for a few days. He starts getting repeated. गुलशन आपने बताया नहीं है मिस्चीवियस का क्या मतलब है. कई बच्चे अगर दीवार पर लिखते हैं तो पेरेंट्स बोलते हैं मिस्चीवियस है, कई दूसरे को मारे तो बोलते हैं मिस्चीवियस है. So mischievous has different meanings for different parents. I don't understand what you mean, right? So I'm going to say, one, stop calling him mischievous. आप उसको mischievous बुलाओगे तो mischievous बनेगा. Stand back and observe. Give him love. If he's hitting people, you can say no to hitting. But if you can be with him without the child feeling something is wrong with the child, that is the best way to improve. It is possible he's seeing some cartoon which is not good for him. Okay. But stop calling, stop labeling the child. Sometimes we do that. Mera bacha to shy hai. We should stop doing that. We do that for mischievous. बच्चा हमारी बात सुनता है तो हम बोलते हैं he's a very good child. माँ बाप की बात सुनता है. That's not a good child. आज आपकी बात सुन रहा है, tomorrow बाकी सबकी बात सुनेगा. अपनी बात जो करना चाहता है वो भूल जाए. They might get married. The person, I'm saying we believe to be good, we have to listen to others. That is not true. We don't need to. Stop calling our children good children because they listen to us. Stop calling them mischievous. Stop calling them shy. My kid is 3 years, always wants to play outside. What to do? Please let them play outside. Abdul, find a way. Find a way to let them play outside. You have a beautiful child who wants to play outside. Whatever you do, find a way to help a child play outside. 3-4 साल हैं आपके पास, उसको करने दीजिए. It will be helpful to you for life. Find a way to play outside. So Naina, you said, I'm afraid he will learn phonics or rhymes if he's not interested in. I'm assuming you mean your phonics or rhymes कैसे देखे, कैसे सीखेगा if he doesn't see TV. So Naina says, my child is 2.5, doesn't like to see TV or phone. We also don't see TV or phone. But is it okay or is it wrong? Because how will my child learn rhymes and phonics? You have a beautiful child, you have a beautiful environment. आपका बच्चा बोलना सीखेगा, राइम सीखने पापा ब्लैक शीप से कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, सीखा नहीं सीखा. So continue this. This is beautiful. If the child can follow their own curiosity and play with different things in the house, outdoor time, this is beautiful. The child will learn phonics, child will learn to speak. Don't worry about it. We used to speak in mother tongue. However, in school, they use mostly English. So he's silent. In school with teacher, anything I can do as a parent. You know, you have done a beautiful thing, Tilakraj. You know, what you are saying is, my child, we speak to them in mother tongue. In school, they speak in English. Ab main kya karu? You've done a beautiful thing. I could not do this. मेरी बेटी पैदा हुई, मुझे लगा कि इंग्लिश में बात करनी चाहिए. अंग्रेज यही सिखा के गए. So my child talks to me in English and I'm very sad about it. Because because वो हिंदी में बात नहीं करना चाह रही है. So if I could go back in time, I would talk to my child in Hindi, Punjabi, Maharashtrian. My wife is Maharashtrian. You've done a beautiful thing. What you can start doing now is you can start talking to your child a little bit more in English. But your child will pick up English. Don't worry about that. School में वो चुप है क्योंकि वो सीख रहा है. So don't make the child feel कि कुछ गलत है. वो सीखेगा, 10 लोगों की बात सुनेगा, अपने आप बोलने लगेगा. You will mix your mother tongue and English and form a new sentence that will amaze you. If you want, you can start talking a little bit more in English. Children are sent to many classes without understanding their area of interest. Is it correct? My child goes to one class right now, basketball. She does 2 classes a week. She's 7 years old. In her entire life, she has not done more than 2 classes in her thing. Both of them because she wanted to do them. What is very important in childhood is free time. A lot of you are still on the call, and thank you for being there. And this point I wasn't able to cover. What is important is freedom of the child. There's a very important thing that we have. It is called sense of agency. You know what this means? This means the feeling that I am in control of my life. This is the feeling that leads to a calm mind. It leads to feeling happy. Think about whenever you're anxious, when you're feeling sad. All these times are when you feel out of control. Yaar, mere saath kya ho gaya? Main kya karu? What do I do? But whenever you can feel, I am responsible. I can take care of myself. I am in control of my life. Is when you feel the sense of agency. This sense of agency every child has. We take it away by over scheduling their life. आप सुबह स्कूल जाओगे, स्कूल में ये पीरियड होंगे, वापस आओगे, फटाफट खाना खाओ, ये ट्यूशन जाओ, ट्यूशन के बाद ये क्लास जाओ, वापस आओ, सो जाओ. पेरेंट को परेशान करने की जरूरत नहीं है. हमें नहीं सोचना. पूरा का पूरा टाइम शेड्यूल्ड है. दिस इज द वर्स्ट थिंग वी कैन डू फॉर आवर चिल्ड्रन. You want to send a child to school? Please send to a school. Send the child to a school which allows them to play. Okay, which allows them to learn from their area of interest. The child comes back. एक क्लास रखनी है, बिल्कुल रख लीजिए. Keep that with the child wants to go to. But then let the child be. And let the child be का मतलब ये नहीं है कि उस child को मोबाइल देखना अच्छा है, स्क्रीन देखना अच्छा है तो वो दिखाना है. Remember, screen, food, and outdoor time are things you need to take care of. And we need to let our child develop their sense of agency. I tried telling my child many times, still at the end of the day, she needs a phone. Tanvi Lakshmi, if you have, I don't know how old your child is, she needs a phone. No, you need time. That is why you give the child your phone. She doesn't need the phone. She knows मम्मी को 5 बार पूछूंगी, मम्मी phone दे देगी. If I ask Lakshmi 5 times, Lakshmi will give me phone. Is what the child knows. That is what she wants. Obviously, she needs a phone because her brain is telling her, because her brain is hijacked by the people who are making content on the phone. Right? But you are the parent. This is the time for 1% parenting. This is the time for you to say no. There's a time with love, because there's nothing wrong with the child. It is wrong with us and the folks who have built the phone. Nothing wrong with the child. Say no with love, hug the child, play something, take her outdoors, give some more time, redirect to something else. But you don't need to give the phone. You're giving the phone because you want to give it, not because the child wants it. In case of boys, in which age do they mature? Means start understanding surroundings, people, intentions, some extent, bit of responsibilities. Sujata has asked this question. Boys, in which age do they mature? They start understanding surroundings. They start understanding responsibilities. The This is a heavy question, because this is no one answer, na, कि 10 साल के बाद से एकदम से बच्चा responsible हो जाता है, right? It doesn't work like that. What happens is that at the age of even 2-3 years, if you have male children, boys हैं अगर आपको लगता होगा यार ये कहाँ फंस गए, साले सोफे पे टाप रहे हैं, they are jumping. But they are jumping because the brain has injected testosterone in their mind. The brain releases testosterone at the age of 2, 3, 4. 40 milligram, I think, is the amount is released in the brain, and the child has to release it. It is important for the child to be a male, and they need to release their energy. They need to be outdoors. So they are developing, right? And as they develop, as they go understand, they start understanding their surrounding. Okay. What becomes difficult is when a child becomes 6, 7 years old, बच्चा ना बड़े दिखने लग जाता है. So when the child becomes 6, 7 years old, the child seems कि अब बड़ा हो गया, अब इसको समझ में आनी चाहिए चीजें. But what has happened is, बच्चे के, if you see, दूध के दांत गिर गए, नए दांत आने में अभी समय, धीरे धीरे आएंगे. So teeth have fallen, new teeth will take time to come. Till the age of 12, those teeth will keep coming. And so there's a long way to go between the 6 years and 12 years as the teeth come. Similarly, the child is looking older to us, but the 6 to 12 is an important period when we still believe that the child's mind is young and the child's mind is developing. Treat the child as a young child. This does not mean आपको उसके लिए सब कुछ करना है. It does not mean they don't understand responsibility. It just means they still need your love and care. They still need external environment, develop their confidence before they reach teenage. At the age of 10, children start understanding, like age of 6, 7, अगर कोई बोले अच्छे तरीके से उसको लगेगा अच्छा ही है. But at the age of 10, a child starts to understand, he's saying I'm your friend, but उसके face से मुझे लग नहीं रहा कि वो मेरा दोस्त है. So brain develops over all this time, so it takes time, but don't assume your child has become big because the child is looking big. They just also send Masumi's Instagram handle for speech therapist and autism and speech delay. Girls do mature early, boys a little late. My son is 12 years old, still not mature, still childish. Look, Sujata, I don't know what that means. You can write on Instagram on our channel. Our channel is, the curious parent.harpreet on Instagram. That is where I post most of my daily things. You can follow it. You can put some questions there also. How to improve concentration, focus in a child in a proper way. If you want to improve concentration, the first step is let the child be. If the child feels free is when the child can concentrate. So child who has enough outdoors, enough energy being spent can then concentrate on a thing that they want to concentrate on. So पहले outdoors है, पहले free time है, और फिर concentration है. So you want that, so do that first, and second, observe your child. It is not about, I want the child to concentrate on maths, so how can I get them to concentrate on maths? It is about taking a step back and observing what does your child like and letting your child concentrate on that. Triveni has asked, can I get recording of the session? Maybe Venkatesh, you can send it.
Yeah, the recording will be sent to all the registrations and the participants on Monday without fail.
Okay. Vamsi says, I agree, mobiles are not good, but my kid learns a lot of things. There's no way school could have taught. Is limited screen time okay? Is 30 minutes okay? It is okay. Okay. But let me say this for you, that child, look, technology is helping me and you talk. So technology is good. There's nothing wrong with technology. You just have to understand that more than 30 minutes of screen time is bad for our child. So 30 minutes दिखाइए. उसमें अगर child, the child is learning, but the child is really not learning. They're learning how to memorize a little bit, but it will not be helpful for the child's brain to develop confidence, for the child's brain to develop empathy. Okay, these are the two things, Vamsi, we spoke in the session are important. Your child can learn some ABC, some rhymes from mobile, but the child will not learn confidence. Your child will not learn empathy. And I want to take a step back. And again, there are a lot of people still on the call. I want you to remember this, that I feel a lot of kids today are starving for touch. They are feeling anxious. They are in their hole. And this is because they're not getting enough love. They're getting enough screen. They're not getting too much hugs. This is what we need to solve for. That our child should not starve for touch. They should have enough hugs. Because the problem is, all of you who are 30, 35-year-olds on the call can understand what I'm saying. Because you have been brought up with a lot of hugs in all probability. But if we grow children who have not been brought up with hugs and love, who have been brought up on screen, they will never understand what it even means. So when they have their children, then we are really fucked. Because they don't understand they haven't seen it, they don't feel it. So this current generation can't grow up on screen. It has to grow up on love and hugs. Madhu has an interesting question. My child listens to me whenever we are alone in a healthy manner. If any other person comes, he forgets everything, behaves as the usual naughty, which is making others put a mark on us growing him. So so Madhu, forget what others say. Let them say what they're saying. You behave like you're behaving. Okay. I don't know what healthy manner is that you described. I don't understand this. You feel it is healthy, so I'm assuming it is healthy. Why the child is naughty, I don't know, because I don't understand. Sometimes people come home, the child gets scared, goes to parents. Maybe enough people haven't come home. Maybe the child wants to show this is my home. Like बंदर के पास जाओ तो बंदर कूद मारने लग जाता है कि मेरा घर है भाई, तुम्हारा नहीं है. So I don't know why the child is doing that, but I'm just saying, forget what other people are saying about you and your child. Because other people are saying naughty, you don't need to call your child naughty. If you call your child naughty, he will become naughty. Okay, so don't do that. But at the same time, understand that all of us have different personalities. How we behave in front of our boss is not how we are in real life. How we behave in our workplace is not a real us. How we behave in front of our parents is not the real child. And understand that a child is not developed only by parents. A child is also developed by peers. Peers shape the real child that the child will become. Parents can give them the initial love and confidence to be with the right peers. But then peers define who the child will become. There's a beautiful book on this called The Nurture Assumption by Judith. It's a big book, well-researched book. And it says that the real thing is not how to understand how to make the child behave correctly in front of us. It is about to understand what makes the real child who behaves differently in front of others. It's a great book to read. But to Madhu, I want to say, don't call him naughty. Don't worry about others say. Just give him love. Just give him enough external outdoors. Give him freedom. And that's okay. My 3-year-old daughter doesn't like to eat food, vegetables, fruits. She only wants milk with bottle feeding. She also has the habit of sucking the fingers. I tried always to get rid of habit, but no luck. How to overcome this? Asked by Shravani. Shravani, I don't have the correct answer to this. You should maybe talk to a nutritionist. What I can tell you is, if you are giving her your own milk, Shravani, that is great. There is no problem. Okay. The child is still sucking on bottle because he misses the feeling that he gets when he was having milk. It is possible your child is not getting enough outdoors, enough confidence, enough active experiences. So he's sticking to his sense of safety, which comes by suckling. Okay, it should have gone by now. If you are not feeding her your own milk, then my suggestion today is to stop milk for children. Most milk today we get is adulterated. So unless you have a cow जो प्यार से दूध दे रही है without chemicals, stop giving milk to children. This milk is not healthy. It is leading to early periods in children. Okay, we have replaced milk with coconut milk, almond milk, a lot of other things. We don't give any milk to my daughter. So either find an unadulterated milk, otherwise stop all these Amul, A, B, C, D, X, Y, D brands. These are not the right milk to be giving our child. Okay, if she's sucking her fingers, that is okay. Let her do. That is her sense of safety. Let her do. But give her outdoor time. She needs active experience to develop more confidence. Give her that. I have twin baby girls, 3 years old. When they bite each other, how to manage the situation? Vivek Nirmal, first of all, congratulations. I wish I had twins here. I wish everybody in this world has twins. But congratulations that you have twins. They fight, they bite each other. They are young. You know, it is bound to happen. You can just be calm with them. Don't react. Just tell them no biting, no hitting each other. They will overcome this phase. They just need to regulate themselves a little bit. So if you can regulate yourself, you can smile. If you can say, "Hey, don't bite. It's okay." You know, what did you want? Did you want this? Okay, you didn't get it. Okay, no problem. We'll get it. But biting will not get you this. So no biting. I'm saying if you talk to them calmly, it will work. It will not work in 1 day, 2 days. It will work in a month, but it will work. Uh, Moisin Ali, my 19-month-old girl, has stranger's anxiety. As soon as she's any person, she will not leave mother, father, not play. How to make her comfortable with new people? Take her outdoors. So first of all, don't think कि बच्चे में कुछ problem है, कि उसको anxiety है. कि don't think that. This is happening because the child hasn't been exposed to a lot of adults. So the more you expose her, and when you expose, if she comes to you, hugs you, just hug her, be with her, and don't let her feel there's anything wrong with her. And when she develops enough confidence, when she sees people around her are not harming her, she will go 1 feet away from you, 2 feet away from you, 3 feet away from you, and it'll happen. Kamlesh, when active related to body, baby enjoys it. Related to brain, baby feels bored. I don't understand this. Babies learn with their body, they don't learn with their brain. So, you haven't mentioned the activity, so difficult for me to answer. But remember, children learn with movement. They don't learn by sitting. My 10-year-old is very comfortable with elder kids, but not at all want to accommodate younger kids. What to do? Sanika, I don't know the quick answer to this. It is possible at some age. Look, it is okay now. Just here, 10-year-old doesn't want to play with younger kids. It's okay. Like, they get bored with younger kids. Like, nothing to do there. If they are comfortable playing with other kids, that's okay. I don't think there's much to do there. As long as they're playing well with somebody, I think that's okay. Okay, we have answered a lot of questions. Are there more we can look?
Sir, one last question. If you can see in the Q&A section. So the question is, what are the consequences if child is raised by grandparents, baby sisters, playgroups? How it affects their personality? Does this will reduce affinity towards parents in future?
In today's world, we have to be worried about a child being raised by the screen and by junk food and by apartment. अगर आपका बच्चा इन तीनों से नहीं पल रहा है ना, if your child is not being raised by mobile, the child is not being raised by screen, the child is not being raised by indoors, फिर कोई भी पाल रहा हो ठीक है, but ये तीन तरीके यूज नहीं होने चाहिए, right? And what the child should be getting is enough love and hugs. So if you say nanny, let's say your child comes home from school, the nanny picks the child. When the nanny picks the child, nanny बच्चे को उतारती है, फटाफट खींचती है बच्चे को, रोड क्रॉस करती है, takes the child home, puts the mobile on, starts feeding, क्योंकि दीदी का भी फोन आएगा, पिक कर लिया, खाना खिला दिया, right? If this is what is happening, this is not okay. This is a child being forced. This is a child being used mobile. This is a child not getting enough love. If the nanny can be as loving as you, there is no problem. If the grandparent can be loving, there is no problem. Yeah. And there is no single way to raise a child. But there are wrong ways to raise a child, which is through mobile, through junk food, through lack of love, through a lot of indoors. These are the way to not raise a child. Everything else is okay.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having so much patience and taking as many as questions possible in the session. And we really loved because the participants are still in the call, listening to your suggestions, listening to your answers. And I personally thank you so much for agreeing and joining us for doing this session. And with this, we came to an end of the webinar. I thank all the audience once again for joining us. And next week, we are coming with an interesting session on tax filing. See you all next week. Thank you, sir. See
Good,
you.
folks. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being there, for staying so long, and wish you and your family lots of joy. I hope you get a lot of time for your children. I hope you play a lot, and all the very best. Take care.